The laughter. Across the stars, the galaxy was wide and filled with many empires. Each empire had fleets larger than mountains, fleets that stretched from one side of the sky to the other. They believed themselves powerful, untouchable, and above all, they laughed when they spoke about Earth. To them, Earth was small, a blue world on the edge of the Milky Way. Its ships were seen as weak and slow, old designs compared to the shining fleets of alien rulers in the grand halls of councils. Alien leaders shared jokes about human ships. They called them floating scrap. They said humans sailed in cans that looked like toys, and every laugh echoed across the stars. Some alien generals even used Earth as a lesson for their students. They pointed to pictures of human fleets and said, "This is what weakness looks like." Their soldiers chuckled, their commanders sneered. For them, humanity was nothing more than a small species that dared to play war among giants. Yet behind that laughter was ignorance. They did not know what Earth was truly building. They did not understand what silence often hides. But in those days, the laughter was strong, and it carried across the chambers of power like a storm. In one great council hall, a tall alien overlord raised a glass. He spoke about how humans dared to call their fleets defenders of Earth. The crowd of alien diplomats burst into roaring laughter. They spoke of how their smallest cruiser could crush 10 human ships in one strike. They mocked the idea of humans surviving even the first day of a real war. On distant planets, alien news networks broadcast endless comedy about human fleets. Animated shows played humans trying to fire guns that misfired. Old Earth rockets exploding in flames were played again and again as jokes. Children of alien species laughed before they could even speak. To them, Earth's fleets were the galaxy's comedy. But there were voices, quiet and rare. A few alien scouts had seen human training drills. A few whispers carried through the dark void that humans were working on something hidden, something they kept secret even from their allies. But these warnings were laughed away too. They said humans had no technology, no genius, no chance. In the shadows of Earth's moon, deep inside hidden stations, humans watched these broadcasts. They listened to the laughter. The mocking words echoed in their minds. Some felt anger, others felt only silence, but all agreed on one truth. When the time came, laughter would turn to fear. A human admiral stood before his officers one evening. His face was calm, his eyes steady. He played a recording of alien laughter echoing from the council chambers. The sound filled the room, harsh and endless. When the clip ended, he spoke only one line. "They think we are weak. Let us prepare until the stars burn with truth." And no one in the room doubted his words. Meanwhile, alien empires held great games, war simulations, and mock battles where they used holograms of human fleets. They staged scenes where human ships exploded in seconds. Crowds cheered, betting money on how fast the imaginary humans would lose. The laughter grew, filling markets, bars, and homes. Even alien emperors smiled at the thought of human weakness. In the cold void of space, laughter meant nothing. Rockets were not jokes, cannons were not comedy, and silence often hid the loudest fire. Humanity knew this, but the galaxy did not. And so the galaxy laughed on, unaware of the storm building behind the calm face of Earth. Every mockery, every cruel word became fuel. Human engineers worked harder. Human soldiers trained longer. Human leaders spoke fewer words but carried heavier thoughts. Laughter became a weapon that sharpened humanity's resolve. And slowly, without notice, the balance of the stars began to change. Still, in those days, the galaxy thought itself safe. They looked at Earth as nothing more than a child playing with wooden swords. They believed the human fleets were made to look brave but had no fire. They believed Earth had no teeth, and so their laughter continued, echoing in the halls of power, in the streets of their cities, and in the skies above their worlds. But laughter has an end. A storm waits for no one. And though the galaxy did not know it yet, every laugh was a countdown. Every sneer was a step closer to silence. For when the first shot was fired, the galaxy would remember these days as the last time they ever laughed at Earth. The silent preparations while the galaxy laughed, Earth worked in silence. No messages were sent, no boasts were made. Behind the quiet mask, the truth was hidden like a shadow behind the moon. Humanity had been mocked too many times, and now every insult became fuel. In secret shipyards under the oceans, great domes of steel stretched across the seabed. Machines worked day and night, pulling raw metal from the Earth's crust. Scientists moved through glass tunnels, whispering plans. Engineers wrote designs on glowing screens. Each design was different from the ships the galaxy knew. They were not large for pride, but strong for survival. They were not built to show, but to end wars in silence on the dark side of the moon. Vast hangars opened their gates. Human warships, still hidden under camouflage screens, rested like sleeping giants. Crews moved in silence, training without cheers, drilling without pause. They were told only one thing: the galaxy thinks you are weak. Prove them wrong when the time comes. And so they trained until sweat burned their eyes and their hands shook with exhaustion. Mars turned red not only from its soil, but from the glow of furnaces. Underground cities there became centers of war preparation. Cannons were tested in secret, railguns stretched for kilometers. Energy weapons so bright they burned shadows into the walls were tested behind sealed doors. If any alien spy came near, they saw only dust and silence. Humanity's mask was perfect at sea. On Earth, strange ships sailed under the waves. Nuclear submarines carried more than old warheads. They carried new weapons no alien mind could imagine. Drones the size of birds and machines the size of whales, all silent, all hidden, waiting for the order that would come one day in deserts. Soldiers trained in suits heavier than armor known across the stars. They lifted weights that bent the ground, ran drills in burning heat, and learned to fight in both silence and chaos. These soldiers did not laugh. They did not speak of glory. They carried the weight of Earth's honor on their backs, and they knew the day was coming when all their sweat would be tested in fire. In orbit, satellite webs were reborn. The galaxy thought Earth's satellites were weak, but these were no longer eyes for weather or maps. They were weapons, guardians, and shields. Silent machines that could blind fleets or guide weapons with a whisper of code. They spun around Earth unseen, every rotation another promise of war readiness. The leaders of Earth sat in hidden rooms deep below mountains. The world's governments had united in one voice, not because they trusted each other, but because they all understood the truth. Mockery does not kill, but war does, one leader said, and if they come, they will not find us sleeping. Another leader spoke. Let them laugh, we are readying the storm. Even civilians, the common people of Earth, felt the weight. Factories worked with double shifts. Young men and women joined fleets and armies. Schools taught not only history but tactics. Humanity was preparing not just with weapons, but with spirit. The laughter of the galaxy was heard, but Earth answered it with silence, a silence that was heavier than words, a silence that spread through every hidden base and secret tunnel, a silence that said, we are not done. Humanity did not broadcast its progress. It did not send threats, it only worked, and in the void of preparation, the storm grew larger. Still, alien spies tried. Small ships floated near the solar system. Their commanders laughed when they saw only old ships and slow freighters. They sent reports saying, humanity is weak. Humanity is still nothing. Their words fed the laughter of their leaders, and this gave Earth more time. Every false report became another shield. Every delay gave humanity another day to sharpen its blade. In the great archives of Earth, historians wrote a quiet warning. They said, never believe the laugh of an enemy, for it hides their fear. These words were whispered among admirals and scientists. Passed like a secret flame, the galaxy could laugh. But Earth had already chosen its path. A path of fire. Every hidden factory, every sealed bunker, every silent soldier became part of a vast storm. One day that storm would break. But for now it grew, patient and quiet. The galaxy thought silence was weakness, but they had never learned that silence is the breath before the roar. And so Earth waited. The mockery still echoed across the stars. Alien leaders still laughed in their councils. But deep in the shadows of the solar system, the preparations were almost complete. The laughter of the galaxy was loud, but Earth's silence was louder. And silence, when broken, would shake the stars themselves. First contact sparks tension. The day came when silence could no longer last. Far beyond the orbit of Neptune, alien signals echoed in human scanners. A fleet was coming, not small patrol ships, but a wall of metal and fire. They were not explorers. They were not diplomats. They were warships sent to test Earth, sent to humiliate humans before the eyes of the galaxy. Alien commanders spoke with pride across open channels. Their voices were full of laughter and scorn. Humans, they said, your ships are toys. Your fleets are children playing at war. We are here to show you your place. Their words spread like fire through the galaxy. Alien audiences tuned in from distant worlds, eager to watch the comedy of Earth's fall. But Earth did not answer with insults. The humans spoke little. Their fleets moved from the shadows into the light, silent as ghosts rising from the deep. The first human ships appeared near Pluto's orbit. They were smaller than alien dreadnoughts, but their lines were sharp, their movements exact. Alien admirals mocked again. Look at their weak shells. Do they hope to stop us with such things? Their crews laughed even as they prepared their cannons. The galaxy watched as the two forces faced each other in the dark. Alien cameras captured every detail, feeding it to billions across 1,000 worlds. In the council halls of empires, leaders leaned back, smiling. Children sat before glowing screens, ready to see humans fall in their first true test. The stage was set and laughter filled the air. But in the human command deck, silence ruled. The admiral of Earth's fleet stood tall. He gave no speeches, no threats. He simply looked at his officers and nodded. Every crewman knew what that meant. Years of hidden training, years of mockery carried like a weight on their backs, all led to this moment. This was not a battle for territory. This was a battle for respect. The alien fleet opened the first channel, demanding surrender. They declared that humans must kneel before the Empire and dismantle their fleets forever. A pause filled the void. For a moment, some alien commanders thought humans were afraid. But then, the human admiral answered in a calm voice. You fired the first insult, you will fire the first shot. History will judge the rest. His words were carried across the stars. Colder than steel, sharper than a blade. The alien fleet roared with laughter again. They raised their cannons and prepared their weapons. We will fire one blast, the alien general said, and their fleet will scatter like ashes. The galaxy cheered. Sure of what was to come, the countdown began. Alien cannons lit with fire, and the void shook with the power of their shot. But even before the alien fire reached its mark, human ships moved with precision. They did not scramble, they did not panic. They shifted formation like dancers in the dark. The alien blast passed, striking shields that flared bright but did not break. Gasps echoed across alien worlds. For the first time, laughter faltered on Earth. People watched in secret halls, they held their breath. The shields held, the line held, humanity did not fall. And in the silence that followed, the galaxy realized something had changed. This was not the comedy they expected. This was not weakness. This was a test that would cut deeper than anyone imagined. The alien general ordered another shot, but the humans did not wait. Their fleet opened channels not to speak but to act. Drones poured from hidden bays, silent machines that moved faster than alien eyes could track. The galaxy saw them like sparks across the dark. Thousands, no, tens of thousands filling the void. Alien admirals barked orders, confused. Their fleets had prepared for large, clumsy ships, not for swarms of blades and fire. The drones circled, closing like a storm, still. No human cannon had fired, still. The first true strike waited, but already tension rippled across the stars. In that moment, it was clear. Humanity was not what the galaxy had believed. The silence of Earth had not been fear. It had been patience, a patience now ending. The first clash had begun, and the galaxy leaned closer, breathless. Their laughter turning thin, their smiles cracking. They began to sense what was coming, though they could not yet name it. And deep within the heart of the human fleet, the admiral whispered to himself, words only his crew heard. They wanted to laugh. Now they will learn to listen. The stars burned quiet as the fleets prepared for the fire that would soon ignite. The first shot. The void was silent. Both fleets faced each other like predators waiting for the first drop of blood. Alien cannons glowed with energy. Human drones swarmed like a storm. The galaxy watched, their laughter fading into uneasy whispers. Everyone waited for the moment that would decide the truth. It was the aliens who fired again first. Massive beams of burning light streaked across the black. Tearing through the darkness, their power was enough to shatter asteroids, to split moons. But this time, humanity did not stand still. Human ships moved as one, weaving through the fire. Shields flaring but holding, drones cut across the paths of the beams. Breaking the aim, disrupting the fire, the alien blasts found no victory. And then it came. The moment Earth had waited for. The admiral of the human fleet raised his hand. His command echoed across the ships, not shouted but spoken with steady calm. Return fire, he said. 3 words, soft as stone, heavy as fate. From the lead human ship, a weapon no alien had ever seen before awoke. It was not a simple cannon, not a beam like the galaxy knew. It was a railgun built with coils that stretched the length of the ship. It fired with a thunder so silent in the void yet so powerful that sensors across half the system screamed. The shot streaked across space like lightning forged into metal. The projectile struck the alien flagship. For a moment, the galaxy still thought it was a joke. They expected the shield to flare, to hold, to laugh again, but instead, the shield shattered like glass under a hammer. The shot tore through the hull, ripping fire and metal in a storm. The flagship split open, spilling flames and silence into the dark. Billions across alien worlds gasped as their screens filled with fire. The laughter ended in one heartbeat. The unthinkable had happened. A human ship had destroyed a vessel that was meant to stand untouchable, and the galaxy trembled as silence replaced laughter. The alien fleet staggered. Their admirals shouted. Their crews panicked. More human ships turned their weapons forward. More railguns lit with thunder. Missiles cut through space like burning arrows. Drones swarmed with precision, striking engines, tearing weapons apart. The void filled with fire, and the war that aliens once mocked had become real. On Earth, hidden command centers erupted with cheers. Men and women wept. Soldiers gripped each other's arms with pride. The first shot had spoken louder than every insult, louder than every laugh. It told the galaxy that humanity was no longer to be mocked. It told the galaxy that Earth had teeth, and those teeth burned with fire. Alien audiences watched in shock. Children who once laughed at human cartoons now stared with wide eyes. Diplomats who once joked at councils now gripped their seats in fear. Empires who once believed themselves untouchable now whispered doubts. The first shot had not only broken a ship, it had broken an illusion still. The fight was not over. Alien fleets regrouped. They poured fire into the void, desperate to restore their pride. Human ships took damage, shields cracked, hulls burned. Men and women bled in the silence of space. But they did not falter. Every hit was answered with a storm. Every strike with a counterstrike. Humanity fought not just to win, but to prove. The admiral stood steady, watching the chaos unfold. His voice was calm as he gave orders, directing ships like pieces on a board. Every move precise. Every strike measured. This was not rage, this was not desperation. This was discipline forged through years of silence and laughter turned into steel. One by one, alien cruisers fell. Some fled, their commanders broken by fear. Others fought to the last, but every strike was matched by human fire. The void that once echoed with laughter now burned with flames. The galaxy could not believe what it saw. For the first time in centuries, the balance of power trembled. And as the battle reached its peak, the admiral spoke again. This is only the beginning. His words carried across the human fleet, filled with unshakable certainty. And though alien ears could not hear him, the meaning was clear. Humanity had fired the first shot, and the stars themselves had lit with fire. The war ignites. The first shot had broken the galaxy's laughter, but it was only the beginning. The alien fleet, once so confident, now moved in chaos. Their lines were scattered, their voices filled with panic. What had been a show of power turned into a struggle for survival. Humanity's silence had ended, and now the storm was unleashed. The human drones swarmed like living fire. They darted between alien ships, slicing through engines, attaching charges, burning with plasma. Alien gunners tried to track them, but the swarms moved too fast, too sharp. Every missed shot only fueled the panic. The sky filled with trails of light as drones carved their mark into the void. Human warships advanced with precision. They did not rush, they did not stumble. They moved like wolves closing around prey. Each railgun strike shattered shields. Each missile tore holes in armor. Alien vessels exploded one after another, their wreckage scattering across the black. The galaxy, watching from billions of homes, sat in stunned silence. The alien commanders shouted orders, their voices cracked. They demanded their fleets to push forward, to crush the humans with numbers. But discipline broke. Fear spread faster than fire. Some ships fled into the void, abandoning allies. Others turned their weapons on drones and forgot the larger threat. The unity of the Empire's fleet was gone. On the human flagship, the admiral stood calm. His officers worked with steady focus. Every ship reported damage, but none retreated. "Hold the line," he said, "advance step by step." His tone was steady, as if he had waited his entire life for this very moment. The crew obeyed, not out of fear, but out of pride above Earth. Command centers tracked the battle. Families and soldiers gathered in silence before screens. They saw their sons, their daughters, their brothers and sisters turning mockery into fire. Some wept with relief, others clenched their fists with fury. Humanity had been laughed at for too long. Now the laughter was gone, replaced by fear. The war ignited not only in space but in the hearts of billions. News spread across colonies on Mars, Europa, and the mining stations of the Belt. Everywhere the message was the same: we can fight. We can win. The voice of Earth became the roar of humanity, and it burned across the stars. The alien empire that had started this fight could no longer hide its shame. Its fleets were in retreat. Its leaders demanded reinforcements. They called upon allies, begging for support. But even as they shouted, other empires grew silent. The galaxy that had once laughed now whispered in fear. If humans could destroy one fleet, what else were they hiding? Human ships revealed more than drones and railguns. Strange weapons appeared, beams that bent shields, torpedoes that split into hundreds of guided fragments, cannons that struck with energy never measured before. Alien scientists watching from afar stared in disbelief. None of their calculations explained what they saw. None of their wisdom prepared them for human invention. One alien cruiser tried to ram a human destroyer, hoping to crush it with size and mass. The galaxy held its breath, but before impact, the human destroyer released a wall of drones. The swarm tore the cruiser apart piece by piece until it vanished in a cloud of fire. The crowd of alien watchers gasped. Children cried, diplomats trembled, and warriors felt fear for the first time in centuries. The war ignited the sky into a furnace. The void between Neptune and Pluto glowed with wreckage, with sparks, with broken hulls. The laughter that had once filled the stars was now replaced with the thunder of human fire. The galaxy understood one truth too late. Humanity had been silent not because it was weak, but because it was waiting. Alien soldiers on surviving ships begged for retreat. Some sent desperate messages. We did not know. We did not understand. But the battle was not mercy. Humanity did not start the war, but now it burned within it. The admiral gave no speech of vengeance, only orders to continue. His eyes were cold, his heart steady. Humanity would fight until the last enemy left the field. And across the galaxy, in empires far from Earth, leaders sat in council chambers, their faces pale, their voices silent. They looked at the fire burning in the void and understood that the balance of the universe had changed. Humanity was no longer the small blue world to be mocked. Humanity was the storm, and the war had just begun. The galaxy's shaken news of the battle spread faster than light. Across the galaxy, signals carried images of alien cruisers torn apart, of human fleets standing where no one expected them to stand. The galaxy that once laughed now sat in silence, a silence heavier than any roar of fire. In great council halls, alien rulers watched recordings of their proud ships burning. Their faces were pale, their voices broken. They had promised their people that humans were weak. They had sworn that the war would be a comedy. But now the comedy had become tragedy, and fear crept into every corner of their worlds. On distant planets, alien citizens stared at glowing screens. They had laughed at human cartoons, at parodies showing clumsy Earth fleets. Now they saw those same fleets cutting through empires with precision and fire. Children who once laughed now held their parents' hands, asking in trembling voices, "Will they come for us too?" Diplomats who once mocked Earth scrambled for answers. Some demanded peace, begging their rulers to speak to humanity before the storm spread further. Others whispered that war must continue, that pride must be defended even if it meant destruction. The galaxy split, some calling for surrender, others blinded by arrogance in secret rooms. Empires sent messages to one another. Allies who once stood united now distrusted each other. If humanity could destroy one empire's fleet, then what would stop them from doing the same to others? Fear poisoned alliances. Suspicion grew like fire through dry fields. No one knew who would be next. Meanwhile, Earth did not boast. The humans did not send messages of victory. They did not demand tribute. Their fleets returned to silent formations, repairing, rearming, waiting. The galaxy mistook silence once before, and they feared it even more now. Silence no longer sounded like weakness. It sounded like doom on the human flagship. The admiral stood watching the wreckage drift in the void. He gave no speech to the galaxy. He only spoke to his officers. "This was not the war," he said. "This was the beginning." His words carried through every human ship, and each soldier felt the weight. They were not done, they were only starting. Alien leaders called emergency councils, they shouted at each other. Some demanded immediate retaliation, others urged retreat. "If we strike again," one leader cried, "we risk everything. Humanity is not what we thought. Humanity is a weapon." But pride was a poison, and many could not swallow it. They had mocked for too long to now admit fear. Whispers filled the outer colonies of alien empires. Soldiers grumbled that they had been lied to. They had been told humans were weak, but they had faced storms of fire instead. Some deserted, fleeing into the shadows. Others sharpened their weapons, trembling as they prepared for battles they no longer believed they could win. The galaxy's merchants also felt the shift. Trade routes changed overnight. Fleets that once ignored Earth now avoided its space entirely. Caravans whispered of human drones patrolling like predators, of railguns that could shatter mountains. Fear alone changed the paths of commerce. Entire economies bent under the shadow of Earth's rise. And yet, in the hidden depths of alien space, there were those who saw opportunity. Smugglers, mercenaries, even smaller nations whispered, "Perhaps it is better to side with the humans than against them." The galaxy trembled. But in that trembling, cracks appeared. Cracks that humanity could use when the time came. The laughter of the galaxy had ended, replaced by sleepless nights. Every empire feared that humanity's fleets would appear in their skies. Every general dreamed of fire raining down on their capitals. Every diplomat rehearsed apologies in the dark. But humanity remained silent, watching, preparing, letting fear grow larger than fire itself. For fear is its own weapon, a weapon that weakens faster than any cannon, a weapon that spreads faster than any fleet. The galaxy was shaken, not only by the battle itself, but by the truth it revealed. Humanity had been underestimated, mocked, dismissed, and now it stood among the stars like a storm that could not be stopped. And as alien rulers stared into the night sky above their worlds, many wondered the same question. If this was only the first shot, what will happen when humanity decides to truly wage war? That question became the shadow that haunted every empire, every soldier, every child. The galaxy was shaken, and it would never laugh again. The lesson remembered, the war was not over, but the lesson had already been carved into the stars. The galaxy no longer laughed. The voices that once mocked now whispered in fear. The empires that once boasted of strength now prayed they would not be next. Humanity had risen, and their rise burned brighter than any sun. Across alien capitals, statues of victory were covered. Their people no longer believed in old myths of power. Children no longer mocked humans in their games. Instead, they drew pictures of human ships, sharp and strong. Stories spread of the first shot, told again and again. Each telling made humanity larger, stronger, more unstoppable. On Earth, there was no parade. There were no songs of triumph. Humanity did not celebrate with laughter. They stood in silence. They repaired their fleets. They buried their dead. They honored the cost of survival. The Admiral spoke once more. "We will not be remembered for our laughter. We will be remembered for our fire." And his words became law. Alien historians tried to explain what had happened. Some wrote that humanity was lucky. Others wrote that the aliens were careless. But most knew the truth. Humanity had prepared in silence. Humanity had turned every insult into strength, and when the moment came, humanity proved that silence can roar louder than pride. The lesson spread further than the fire of war. Small nations that had once feared the empires now looked to Earth for hope. They whispered that maybe humans were not just warriors, but liberators. Maybe they could change the balance of the stars. The idea alone shook thrones, broke alliances, and planted seeds of rebellion. In the halls of power, alien rulers made promises. They swore never again to mock humanity. They swore to watch Earth closely, to never underestimate, yet even in their caution, the fear remained because deep inside, they knew something darker. Humanity had not shown everything. The first shot was not the end, it was only the warning. The wreckage of alien fleets drifted forever near the edge of the solar system. Monuments of silence, each twisted hull a reminder to every passing ship. Here is where the galaxy laughed, and here is where the laughter ended. Pilots who flew by whispered in awe. Some bowed their heads, some swore never to repeat the mistake. The stars themselves seemed to carry the memory. On Earth, children grew up hearing the story. They were told of the day the galaxy mocked their fleets, and the day humanity answered with fire. Teachers spoke of it not as glory, But as duty, they told the young, respect is not given. Respect is earned, and when denied, it must be taken. The next generation listened. Eyes filled with determination, the admiral, older now, stood before a window on the flagship. His eyes looked out into the black ocean of space. He whispered, "They thought us weak. Now they will never forget." His crew stood in silence with him. They knew his words were not just for them, but for the galaxy itself in time. Songs were written in alien tongues about the human storm. Not songs of joy, but of warning. Bards sang of the first shot that lit the stars with fire, of fleets that fell, of laughter that turned to screams. The melody carried across markets and cities, reminding every listener that mockery could become ashes. And so the galaxy remembered. Empires that once towered above all now carried scars. Nations that once dismissed Earth now measured their fleets against human strength. Every council chamber now held one truth at its core. Do not mock humanity. It was spoken like a prayer, like a law carved into the bones of the universe. The laughter that once echoed across the stars was gone. In its place was silence, a silence heavier than mountains. A silence born from fear and respect. A silence that every alien child would grow up knowing. The silence of humanity. The storm that waited behind quiet eyes, for the galaxy had learned its lesson and it would not forget. Humanity was no longer the weak blue world on the edge of the Milky Way. Humanity was the fire that turned laughter into ashes. Humanity was the storm that taught the stars to fear. Humanity was the warning remembered.